let's get to it. I need a new window. So, okay. Let me. Ah, that's what I want. Okay. So we got. Hi, Vago. How are you doing tonight? Oh, Vok. Oh, okay. I'm doing pretty good. Let's see. Okay. So, I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit. For the cinema, yep, we are gonna get into some cinema because we got a pretty big story to talk about. Yeah, we gotta talk about this because this is a big deal. Um, Netflix is buying Warner Brothers and its divisions. Um, this is a pretty big deal, and I am very concerned about it. So, um, let's start by talking about it. This is the article is from Variety, so it's official. In a move that will dramatically reshape the entertainment business, Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery announced an agreement. Let's see. Yesterday. Okay, so yesterday, which is Friday, Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers, including its film and TV studios, its gaming business, WB Games, that also affects us, HBO Max, and HBO itself. Um, Value at $82.7 billion. That's billion with a B, a very big B. Um, so they're gonna acquire the streaming and studio business, uh, up against David Ellison's Paramount and Comcast, and it's a pretty big deal. Um, it's stated that they're going to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations and build on its strengths, including theatrical releases. Uh, they're planning to continue through 2029. They will keep HBO Max right now, and they're adding the deep film and TV libraries along with HBO and HBO Max. A lot of big jargon. Here's what they're gonna get. They're gonna get shows like Big Bang Theory, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. This we kind of gotta put a big asterisk on because uh this is a unique situation. The Wizard of Oz, uh, the DC universe. So that's also something we need to talk about. And along with Wednesday, Money Heist, Bridgerton, Extraction, they will also pick up WB Games, which is going to be an interesting topic to talk about. Um, Unknown if David Zaslav will stay. We kind of know that the creative heads of WB will stay. James Gunn will stay. It's stated that it won't take at least until about a year for this to clear through. But it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So I'm gonna pull up WB itself. Uh, WB divisions, because oh boy, do they got a lot of divisions. WB itself. Okay, so let's start off with a good chunk of their units. So the Motion Pictures Group, which so that consists of WB Pictures, which is the movie studio, New Line Cinema, which we know does Nightmare on Elm Street, um, Austin Powers, The Mask, and some other stuff. Tussle Rock Entertainment. I never saw a lot of their movies. Spyglass Media, just a small stake. Flagship Entertainment, half of an interest. And their international version of WB Pictures. I think they're going to probably do a bundle. Same way Disney's doing a bundle. They got the television group, which is WB Television, the CW, which was a merger between UPN and the WB network back in 2006. Alloy Entertainment, I never heard. Telepictures, never heard. Cartoon Network Studios is an interesting situation because later this year they're splitting off the linear TV networks. So I don't know if they're going to keep Cartoon Network Studios. That's interesting. WB Animation, that's going to stay. William Street, that's part of Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, so that cannot stay. Hanna-Barbera, I think Hanna-Barbera is fully owned by WB. Well, it's not Cartoon Network itself, it's their studio division. So I'm curious what's going to happen to CN Studios. Hanna-Barbera, I think it's under WB. So I think Hanna-Barbera will stay open. Even though this is Cartoon Network Studios Europe originally. And then entertainment divisions, WB Theater, Fandango Media, DC Studios. We know DC Studios is staying, but there's a big elephant in the room. That's the comic book division, DC Comics. That's going to be a topic to talk about. Water Tower Music, that's their music division. Turner Classic Movies. I think that's gotta go. I think that's gonna go. Because it's a linear TV network, so that'll be interesting. Turner Entertainment, that does not exist anymore. That's something we do need to talk about. Because that involves Wizard of Oz. So that's kind of the main divisions of WB. And then you got WB Games, which is their video game division. So let me pull up Turner Entertainment and MGM because they're kind of involved in this because of the Turner thing. So my thoughts on this. This could be either good or bad, depending on how you look at it. My perspective is this is probably going to be bad. Very bad. Because WB is a movie studio. It exists to make movies, to make TV shows. And it has been around for over 100 years. So it's a very historic movie studio. But it has had a lot of ups and downs. And my takeaway is I'm concerned. I'm concerned that WB it might not be a movie studio anymore if this goes through. Because Netflix is a streaming company. They care about the analytics of what they sell. So, and they have specific budgets they want to meet. So, My concern is if Netflix goes through with this, gets WB, they're gonna probably put a tight leash on WB, a very tight leash, similar to what Disney done with 20th Century Studios. Because, as we all know, 20th Century Fox got bought by Disney. 20th Century Fox itself is pretty much dead. 20th Century Studios is the successor to 20th Century Fox. And since then, they've been on a tight leash by Disney to the point where they cannot run the studio as an autonomous unit. So, this my big concern is when Netflix buys WB, they're not going to function as an autonomous studio. I'm thinking that Netflix, like Disney, will put a tight leash on WB, and they won't function as a studio itself. So that's my big concern. Plus, um, they own a lot of stuff, like a lot of properties. Um, Let me do this. Okay, so the studio. Okay, this is what they own. WB, the studio facilities. So that's their main studio lot in California. They own that. They have a museum, which is their archive. The Burbank studio, the their England studio. I didn't realize they have an England studio. Their digital labs, home entertainment. This is a division that releases movies and TV shows on physical media. So Blu-ray, DVD, 4K Blu-ray, VHS. This is a big deal because we don't know if Netflix will commit to physical media. So I'm hoping home entertainment stays open. The theater ventures. This focuses on live theater production, like if you go like to a opera house, is what this division does. DC Studios. This is interesting because DC Studios is part of DC Comics, so I'm wondering if they're going to keep these the entirety of DC Comics and its divisions, because to get DC Studios, they need to acquire DC Comics. So I'm hoping they keep that. Geffen Pictures, I never heard of. That must be an old studio. Water Tower Music, the Fandango Media stuff, Turner Entertainment. Um, Boy, Turner Entertainment is mostly um. So this is kind of where we get into the pretty deep nitty gritty stuff. Turner Entertainment was a division created by Ted Turner when he bought MGM. So, for those who do not know the history, back in 1986, Ted Turner bought MGM. By buying MGM, he had pretty much the entirety of MGM's library, and he had a part of WB's history. Basically, everything that was prior to 1950. So that included movies, the Looney Tunes and Merry Melody shorts, live action shorts, stuff like that. That was under WB. That was kind of like quote unquote the lion's share of WB itself. So if this goes, I'm pretty sure the pre 1950 stuff goes with it. I could be wrong because if I recall, WB regained that aspect of their old library. But MGM is a part of this too, because when Ted Turner bought MGM, he bought their entire library. But for those who do not know, later as time went on, he was saddling a lot of debt when he was running MGM. And because of that, he had to sell it off. He kept pretty much the lion's share of MGM's movie library prior to May of 1986. So that includes Wizard of Oz and pretty much the vast majority of MGM's film library. So where does that go? Because at the end of the year, they're spinning off the Turner networks. So Cartoon Network, CNN, TBS, TNT, they're all spinning off. So does the MGM film already go with it? I would say yes, because Warner Brothers does not technically own the pre-1986 film library for MGM. It's Turner Entertainment that owns that. So if TEC goes, MGM's library goes with it. So I'm going to say they're going to sell this aspect off. And they're going to keep the pre-1950 WB film archive, but not keep MGM's pre-1986 library. I would not be surprised if Amazon gets MGM's pre-1986 library and remerge and make MGM whole again, because MGM has not been itself since that point in time. They've been still around, but what's the thing that's been driving MGM is the United Artists library that they've owned since, oh geez, they've owned United Artists since 1980, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been United Artists that's been holding MGM on its back since then. So if Turner Entertainment goes, it's probably going to go to Amazon. It has to. So that's a little background on that situation, which is why I don't know why they specifically mentioned they will own Wizard of Oz, because they don't technically own Wizard of Oz. When you watch the opening of Wizard of Oz, you don't see WB's logo. You see MGM's logo. So I'm going to say they're going to sell off the MGM library because they want WB, not MGM. So they're going to sell off that pre-1986 library. So that's my take on MGM and Turner Entertainment. So WB Pictures. It's stated that they're going to keep WB Pictures, which is the movie studio, intact. Like the entire film library, the entire TV library, and everything else. I'm hopeful, but it's Netflix. I want to trust Netflix, but I can't. Because they're a streaming company first and foremost. And a lot of TV shows and movie films they don't last very long. So I'm very concerned that they're gonna shut WB Pictures down and just keep the film library. Same with New Line Cinema. I'm concerned they're gonna shut down New Line Cinema because rumor has it New Line wants to do a new Austin Powers with Mike Myers. But if New Line shuts down, no more Austin Powers. So I'm hopeful these two stay open. So that's one thing. Their television studios, they got to keep the television division open. Because Netflix, like I said, is a streaming. service. So a lot of what they do is TV shows. So if they keep the television division open, they can make a lot of TV shows they could put on Netflix. Um, Telepictures, I think that's an older company. That will probably be spun off. The animation department. Ooh boy, WB Animation. I'm gonna say they're gonna just keep this open. They have got to keep WB Animation open because they do a lot of animated shows. Some of them they air on Cartoon Network, but I'm thinking they're gonna mostly put WB Animation shows on Netflix or HBO Max at best. So I'm gonna say they're gonna keep WB Animation open. Cartoon Network Studios. Um, I'm gonna say it goes. It's part of Cartoon Network. I'm gonna say they're gonna remerge with Cartoon Network and sell it off along with Cartoon Network. So I don't think the studio division for Cartoon Network stays. Hanna Barbera, it's part of WB, so it will stay. William Street is part of Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. It's gonna go. The domestic television distribution, it stays because they use this division to distribute TV shows around the United States. The international television distribution division, it's staying. CW, I'm going to say the CW stays because they still own a percentage of that. HBO, we know that's staying. Cinemax, I'm going to say that stays. TNT Sports, I think that's not staying. That's part of that's being spun off. The theme parks, they might keep them. They might sell them off. If anything, they'll probably sell them, sell the theme parks to Universal. So it's a 50-50 on this. WB Games. So this is a big thing we need to talk about. WB Games. So they own Avalanche, NetherRealm, which does Mortal Kombat, Portkey Games. They do the Harry Potter games. Rocksteady did the Batman Arkham universe. TT Games, they do Lego games. WB Boston, they're a support studio. WB Games Montreal, they do their own stuff. WB Games New York is a support studio. WB Games San Francisco is a support studio. So this is a big deal because if WB Games goes, they pretty much lose all these. NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat goes. Rocksteady goes. So the Arkhamverse is dead if Rocksteady goes. TT Games goes, so no more Lego games from them. And then the support studios will probably be shut down. And Montreal will probably be sold off to some other company. So hopefully they keep WB Games and keep them functioning autonomously. WB Discovery. Okay, DC Comics. So it's my understanding that DC Comics is its own division within WB. So it's DC Comics, DC Studios, Milestone, Wildstorm, all the comic divisions. So I'm going to say if they want to keep making Batman, Superman, and other DC movies, they have to keep DC Comics. But the thing is, DC Comics has had a tough history since 1970. Because 1970 is when WB originally bought DC Comics. And the rumor was back then that they were gonna shut down the comic division and just license out all the characters. And it's been that rumor since 1970. DC Comics had to fight tooth and nail to stay open. And my biggest concern, if when Netflix gets this, the comic division is gone. That means if the comic division goes, that means the DC EU is done. James Gunn doesn't have a position anymore. It's gone. All they will have is just their characters. But without the comic books, you don't get those movies. So if this goes, everything else goes. The movies gone, the games are gone. DC Comics has to stay open under Netflix ownership. Because if this goes, we could kiss everything else within the comic book space goodbye. So hopefully, DC Comics stays open. The global linear networks. It's my understanding these are going to be spun off at the end of the year. So, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Toonami, Adult Swim Games, Boomerang, Discovery Family, TBS, TNT, True TV, Turner Classic Movies, TLC, American Heroes, Destination America, Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Science Channel, HGTV, Travel Channel, Food Network, Cooking Channel, OWN, CNN, TNT Sports, the international linear channels. Those are all going to be spun off. And my assumption, if Cartoon Network is getting spun off, then their studio division goes with it. So I'm going to say all of these will remain intact once these are spun off. So I'm not concerned about those. These are just all the old assets they've got rid of over the years. So that's a lot of assets WB has that Netflix will get. And I am concerned. I am really concerned, guys. This could go pretty poorly. Really, really poorly. So it's not a done deal. It's going to take about a year. It's going to require a lot of regulatory intervention. I want to say I'm going to be honest, chat. Hold on. I'm going to close my. I'm going to be honest. I don't want this to happen at all. If this happens, I'm going to go with the assumption that WB TV, DC Comics, WB Games, everything's going to be shut down. And then everything will just be licensed out or put on Netflix. So I'm on this mindset that I don't want this to happen. If it happens, it happens. But if it happens, I want to stay hopeful that everything will stay open and just have full on autonomy, that they do their own thing without some intervention. But let's be honest, it's Netflix. They don't really commit to anything that much. So I'm on the mindset that this does not go through. But it's probably going to go through. And we have to keep our fingers crossed that everything will stay open. That WB Games stays open, that WB Picture stays open, WB TV stays open, DC Comics and DC Studios stays open. We got to keep our fingers crossed and hope that they remain committed to those divisions and keep them open. Because if they close, then it's more likely that the entirety of WB will close. So that's my thoughts. And hopefully it just stays open. I want to say it stays open, but fingers crossed. I hope. I'm gonna be real. This is not good. This is not good at all. Because it wasn't good when Paramount once wanted WB. It wasn't good that Comcast wanted them. It's not even good that Netflix wants them. I mean, let's put it out on the table. This is just another merger to consolidate everything. In other words, less choice, everything becomes more expensive. So I don't know. I really don't know. But I I take everything with a grain of salt and go with the assumption that everything stays open. But do not be surprised if everything's closed. But for now, stay hopeful. Keep your fingers crossed because this could go bad pretty quickly. But anyway, those are my thoughts about the whole situation.